And we are live. It's good to say that for the first time in, I believe, October. What is up? It is Aaron the dog, and we are back with UFC 308. I don't know if the MMA community has missed me, but I have not missed it either. But I have missed everybody here, including my panel here. Lewis usually will join us for pay-per-views when he's not in Norway. He's in Norway right now, so he will not be joining us, but I will have his picks for the main card. And I have my two best co-hosts along with me for the breakdown. They've stuck with me through the hiatus and with me as usual for the UFC breakdowns. Lucky Locks, how you doing, sir?
Pretty good, man. I'm excited to be back. I'm happy that everything's all on the right track again with you personally, which is awesome to hear. And yeah, I think this is a really good card, in my opinion. I think it's stacked, to say the truth.
Yeah, don't listen to Bo
And
Jackson here. Bo Jackson saying this card sucks. He also said the MMA community missed me, so he doesn't know what he's talking about. But yeah,
yeah,
man.
I really, really like the main event. I've been looking forward to it a lot. And yeah, coming off a good weekend. I had Cyborg on PFL, and I had Anthony Hernandez and Darren Elkins on UFC. So, oh,
Nice.
excuse me. Hopefully, we keep it rolling into this week.
All these winnings, they're just coming up. Oh God. Anyways, yeah, I haven't made a bet on MMA in 3 weeks. Like I've been pretty out of it, taking care of my mom back home. So, but she's all good now, so that's why I'm back. So, yeah, I'm excited to talk about this card. And I do have my first bet in 3 weeks, and I'll get to talk about it pretty early on. 2 cents. Good to see you as always, my friend.
Dude, it is good to see you. Great to have you back, man. Shout out to you, Lucky, everyone in the chat. Y'all smash the like button for Aaron. It's great to have you back, man. I'm very happy that Mama ATD is happy and healthy. And dude, I'm very happy to be back. So thank you for having me as always. And I agree with Lucky, man. I think this is a pretty sick fucking card. Like, regardless of what anybody thinks about, like, some of the matchups or whatever, or like level of competition with some of them, I think it like kind of set up for a bunch of action fights on paper. So like, yeah, I think even the prelims aren't too bad, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, yeah, we'll get through it here. And yeah, even as the hater of 2024 MMA that I am, so covering every UFC. Yeah, no, this is the last couple of weeks I've been watching, but yeah, they've been rough. I promise I just didn't take them off because they were bad though. But man, it's good to be back talking MMA, and I'm really excited to have the first genre in several weeks. So let's get started here. And if you know anything about me, you'll remember where I cut my teeth in this game, and it was with the LFA breakdowns. That's how me and Lucky ended up crossing paths and eventually working together. And yeah, one of my favorite LFA alums that has ever come from the LFA is Carlos Leal. I am a huge Carlos Leal fan. I will always be very clear with my biases with my fighters. Renat Fakhretdinov, I'm not super impressed with, honestly. The Brian Battle fight was great, obviously, for many reasons for myself personally. And he also got a 30-25. I mean, it was just pure domination. And there's a very clear path to victory. It's a very clear grappler versus, I mean, Leo is a striker, but I think Leo is much more well-rounded than he gets credit for from people other tan Lucky, I'm sure, here, because I think that we both kind of do respect Leo. I know my first bet in MMA in several weeks is going to be Carlos Leal. I bet him at the Open at plus 240. I think that a lot of people are assuming he's first round KO or bust. I very much disagree with that, although I think he could very well get that KO. I think he's live for the KO throughout. He's fought at, I believe, 5 different weight classes throughout his career. He's been anywhere from, I believe, heavyweight down to featherweight and everywhere in between. Looks like he takes all of his supplements. I've been waiting for him to be in a non-USADA UFC. And what do we have now? A non-USADA UFC. He was getting ready for a fight in this area. It was supposed to happen last week. His coach took the fight and knocked out his opponent. Obviously, he's taking a much higher level of opponent here. But, I mean, Leo has looked not out of his depths against very high levels of competition. I do think, I can't I've been waiting for him to make it to UFC for years now. I'm not going to pass up the chance here. He's in great shape. I think he's going to be very confident coming into it. I do think that if with each stuff takedown from Fakhretdinov, I think that this line gets flipped very quickly. Yeah, we shall see. Maybe I look like a fool on Monday, but Sunday it's the game we play though. I got Liel, and I will take Liel by second round KO. Lucky, go ahead.
Yeah, Lial is a guy that I also have been aware of for a long time. We've talked about him a couple times way back in the day in LFA, PFL, whatever. He's a cool addition for the UFC. He's fun. He's a pretty good fighter as well. I think these are a little bit adverse conditions under which he's making his debut. I think Renat's really good, and I've said before on the show, some people might agree or disagree. Some people might like it or not like it. I think that Renat's one of the better 170-pound guys in the world right now. I think there's fighters in the rankings at 170 that he would be favored against and would beat. He's a skilled guy, hasn't lost in 10 years. I think, unfortunately, he's probably going to age out of the title picture before, he gets a chance to make a serious run. He's 33 years old right now, but, right here, right now, I feel like this guy could be ranked, kind of at the bottom of the rankings, maybe. No, like I said, it's adverse conditions for Leal's debut, but there's a couple things working in his favor. For one, like you touched on, Aaron, he was scheduled to fight in Abu Dhabi, so it's not like he was going to be in Brazil or Arizona or something. He's flying all the way out here. He was literally supposed to be here, so like location has not changed. He's been training to fight in the UAE around this time. I think this is a whole different level of opponent. I mean, I can't remember who he was going to face, but he was like minus $1 million against them.
Yeah, some 13 seconds.
Yeah.
Who got knocked out
somebody
by
somebody he was going to splatter. And I don't know. I think, I'm not betting this fight. I think Renat, or at least on the money line, I won't be. I think Renat might be a little bit too much to take on for Leal in short notice, but I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for Fakhretdinov at all. I see it being pretty hard fought, and I think he goes to decision. Over 2.5, I think is going to hit here. Mm-hmm. I might mess around and see if there's anything I can do with that, but no action for me on the money line.
Man, I was expecting over 2. I didn't think the over 2.5 would be minus 250. That's rough. But yeah, I'm excited about this fight. A really good way to start out the card at 10 a.m. 2 cents.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my voice down. It's an elderly lady and a dog. I'm not trying to wake up. But
nice way to talk about your mother or your wife.
I know. No, I think it is striker versus grappler, but I don't know, man. I feel like Leal is probably going to have to get the knockout. I don't see him winning a decision in Abu Dhabi, but I think he can knock Renat out, so I'm staying completely away from it. It kind of feels like a Renat decision. Maybe he gets like a late ground and pound finish, but I don't know, dude. I'm going to say Renat decision, but Leal is super live. I don't think it's a bad bet at all.
Yeah. I got Liao. He is not in the Zhang so I guess that indicates a little bit of my true confidence in him. But at the end of the day, I am taking him second round KO. I'm excited about this fight, mostly for Liao. But let's see if Renat. I mean, he's 23-2-1 in his career. He's no joke at all. But we shall see. This next fight, I don't have a lot to really say about Bruno Silva versus Ismail Naradiv at 185, like at all. This is like I don't know, like even though Chris Weidman is on death's door, I don't know how many steps down in competition this is to take on Ismail Naradiv. I don't know why Naradiv got re-signed here. I feel like it was to get a win, and with this matchup, I mean, he should have a major speed advantage, and probably will end up trying to take down Bruno and just kind of work the MMA game. He should be able to do that. But at the same point, Bruno Silva's been actually facing a higher level of competition, and then also not losing that competition embarrassingly. And it's just, I can't pick Ismail Naradiv, so I'll take Bruno Silva, and I wouldn't bet someone else's money with it. 2 cents.
Damn, dude, I was hoping that Blindado might be a Jung Ri candidate, because I think Blindado is going to fucking shadow realm Ismail Nardaev. It's not a super strong feeling. Like I that's why I was kind of, oh man, if this isn't John Lee, be sick, because I was going to totally pass otherwise. But to your point about it maybe looking like it's kind of set up for Nardiev, like, a dude within like an IEV on the end of his name, and it's in Abu Dhabi or whatever. But
It's a weird
level competition, dude. You said it, and the level competition and the power too. So I think we get Nardiev could snake out a decision, but I think Blundell's gonna knock him the fuck out.
I just feels like Nardiev was signed to be put on the second fight on Abu Dhabi cards every 4 to 6 months. That feels like why he was signed, not to get Bruno Silva back on the winning side, but I just have to go with the person who's actually fought a decent level of competition.
Yeah, I get it, and I don't know. I just don't. For some reason, I don't feel like he's going to lose 4 in a row. I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. Lucky talk some sense into us about why Ismail Nardiev is the truth in this return to the UFC that he's earned from a guillotine against Janitor.
Well, Ismail Nardiev is the absolute hottest MMA prospect on the regionals right now. No, I'm just kidding. But I think, probably I'm going to agree that they brought him in here to start off his new contract with the win. You know, Silva's on a real downswing in his career these days. He lost 3 in a row. He's 1-5 in his last 6. And, you know, Nardiev, as we know, had a UFC stint back in the day. He was a 2-2 UFC fighter. And, you know, he's all right. He really hasn't been amazing on the regionals, to tell you the truth. He lost to Vadim Kutsi, who was on Contender Series this year, who I honestly still think is a decent fighter, even though he lost. But yeah, Nardiev was 23 when he got let go by the UFC. He's back now at 28. And I think they brought him back specifically for this card. Born in Chechnya, representing Morocco. I think they're trying to get him on track here with a win to start him off, like I said. And they're kind of giving him the guy that's been losing the fights they want him to lose, and Bruno Silva. You know, when Pereira was coming up, need to get him a win. Let's call Bruno Silva, right? When they debuted Sharon Magomedov in Abu Dhabi, who did they call him? Bruno Silva. Need someone who's going to give Chris Weidman a chance to win at 40 years old? Let's call Bruno Silva. And I think it's kind of the same idea here. But, you know, Nardiev is really nothing special. But I think he can beat Bruno Silva. You know, he's 7 years younger as well. But, I mean, you'd have to give me like minus 120 if I was looking to be involved. I don't want to touch minus 180. But I'm going to pick Nardiev to win.
Well, if Tapology picks were bets, you would be getting that minus 120 at this point, because Tapology seems to love Bruno Silva in this spot, and he's a dog. So what could go wrong? And Bruno got screwed in that Chris Weidman loss. So we'll see how he responds to that, if it like completely defeated him or if it at all made him a little hungry. But that's enough on that fight. All right, this next fight, 135. Listen, Victor Striker Hugo. That debut was not my favorite debut there. Left a lot of kind of concerns moving forward. He was taking on a very short notice Pedro Facao, who he kept just backing straight up to the fence and allowing his opponent to square up on him, who was a grappler, got him down early, got his back early. Victor Hugo seems to kind of rely on a lot of tricks on the ground with like leg locks and go-go platas and omoplatas and, you know, Peruvian neckties and Japanese, all these things that, you know, kind of work against a certain level. I mean, Farid's going to come out here and shoot for the legs and try to get Victor Hugo down early and often. Long story short, I don't understand this line. I don't understand why it's this wide. I just don't. Victor Hugo definitely could, you know, surprise Farid, and it wouldn't shock me if he caught him with, you know, I mean, he's got some really nice kicks, especially to the body. It wouldn't surprise me if that ended up, you know, slowing down Farid. We've seen the Basharats are fallible. I can't, you know, I'm going to take Farid still here by decision, because I just feel like Victor Hugo has a lot of bad habits that I'm not sure he's going to fix here necessarily. Sets himself up to get, you know, kind of controlled against cage and taken down. So I'll take a decision for Farid, but this line sucks, and I wanted to bet Victor Hugo. I still want to bet Victor Hugo, but I've got to go with Farid from what I've seen. So Lucky.
Yeah, I'm in total lockstep with you here. Basharat minus 600 makes no sense to me. And I've seen takes around people saying like, oh, Basharat would be, you know, X top contender if they fought right now, etc. I'm not really seeing that. I do think he's very good with a lot of potential. I do not think he's on that level right now, personally. I think he's on track to be on that level. I think he's the better of the two brothers. But yeah, I think Hugo's getting underrated a little bit here. I just don't really get how Basharat's covering -600. And I'm not going to be a martyr for the cause of Victor Hugo this week. So, I am going to pick Basharat to win the fight. But I think you kind of nailed the main concern, right? I think there's kind of a feeling where Hugo might just be on the back foot here, get pushed up against the cage, get taken down again and again, and all of that stuff. So Basharat also, I heard, is at ATT now. That kind of might help him with finding some more success and efficacy when he gets to dominant grappling positions. But it is a very wide line to me. I think there's still more bricks to lay for Basharat before I feel like this price is justified. But yeah, I'm going to join you and pick him to win.
Yeah. 2 cents. What's your thoughts on this one?
Well, gentlemen, let me be the cautionary tale if this motherfucker starts going sideways, because I did parlay Farrad Basharat and I might end up looking like a dumbass. But no, I think like you kind of laid it out. Like what Lucky said, he's the better Bash brother to me. And Aaron, what you said, all of Hugo's like leg attacks and shit, I feel like Farhad Basharat is just gonna like spin right out of that into half guard or side control, and it'll just be rinse and repeat. It kind of just feels like a Farhad Basharat decision. Actually, you know what? I feel like he could maybe get a sub man or like a
TKO. Here.
I feel like he's gonna end up. In a dominant position too many times, but yeah, I can't really like bet a prop on that, because if I do, he'll just grease out a decision. So yeah, most likely probably Farhad decision, maybe late sub.
Yeah, I feel like if you're betting the finish props with a Basharat, they've got to be kind of juicy, since they're kind of looked at as a little bit of decision.
Right, it's just gonna be too sweaty for my blood.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's -675. So we can almost get a minus or plus 500 on Victor Hugo. That's just nonsense. It really is. That's crazy. But yeah, no bet for me there. Don't worry, we got the crazy lines continuing. Kennedy Nzechukwu, the African Savage, making his UFC heavyweight debut here against the return of Chris Barnett. Chris Barnett's had a rough run of it as late, and the latest being losing his home in a hurricane. So, it's kind of hard to know how he's coming into this fight. Hard to know what weight he'll come into this fight, if he'll make 265. Meanwhile, Kennedy Nzechukwu, I don't think him moving up to heavyweight at this point in his career leads to a ton of confidence for me. At this point, I kind of would almost like to see Kennedy cut. And, if he's going to make a run at heavyweight, seriously kind of look into it. I have a feeling he's going to show up this weekend looking quite soft. We'll see. But I think often you see these light heavyweights go up to heavyweight and they don't really change their body. They lack discipline almost. And he's facing Chris Barnett at the same time, though. Chris Barnett hasn't fought since, what was that? The Collier fight in New York. I was at that fight. Very unfortunate for my boy Collier in that one. That was a heartbreaker for me. But yeah, it's hard to be confident in either one of these guys. At this one though, I'm going to take a shot at Chris Barnett. I'll do the unknown. I'll take a shot at the dog. I'm not betting $1 on this. It's just purely out of spite for Kennedy Nzechukwu at heavyweight here. I don't like the bet. So if I look dumb, whatever, fuck Kennedy Nzechukwu. Give me Chris Barnett, dog or pass for sure. 2 cents.
Dude, you said it. I will be passing. Yeah, I kind of feel like Kennedy puts him in a fucking box at some point.
Who does Kennedy put in a box?
A couple. He put Kutalaba in a box. He put Carlos Olberg in a box.
Oh yeah, Olberg. That was what a fluky win that ended up being.
And I'm not parlaying Kennedy. No fucking dude. I parlay Basharat at -600. I will do that every fucking day of the week before I ever bet Kennedy again. He's a blacklisted fighter for me, which means I'll never ever. It doesn't matter what kind of odds I get. But yeah, I'm gonna pick Kennedy by knockout. But yeah, it's Barnett or pass. Pass for me though.
Yeah, I just Kennedy at -750. What could go wrong, Lucky?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's kind of this code of honor among the MMA fans where we kind of pretend like Barnett uh, doesn't suck. I don't think this guy's good at all, and people will say like, "Oh, well, he looks one way, but he's actually just as athletic as Usain Bolt." You wouldn't expect it, guys, but he's got serious skills. He doesn't look good to me whatsoever. Like beating John Vellante and Jake Collier doesn't do much for me. And, I feel like a lot of people are surprised, Barnett's plus 500 or whatever. I mean, Jake Collier was minus 460 against this guy. He's not that far off his usual range, to be honest. But
I
yeah,
take Jake Collier over Kennedy and Njoku at heavyweight.
maybe so, man. I kind of like Jake Collier at heavyweight, man. I think it's a
Me
lower
too.
level guy. He got robbed a couple times in his
He was beating Barnett's
run of
ass, so he
score.
wasn't in that fight.
Oh, he was cooking him. He was
Yes.
absolutely cooking him. And yeah, listen, I mean, Nzechukwu is a total flake. I don't think he's good either. But I mean, Barnett's 38. He's a 5'8" professional athlete who missed the heavyweight limit of 265 in his last fight. I mean, I can't take you seriously as a professional athlete if you're not even taking yourself seriously. I mean, you're 5'8". Make 265, man. Come on.
That's fair. I like the 50-pound weight advantage on fight night for Chris Barnett. Lay on him. Anyways, we've talked about this fight enough. That's fair enough. Minus 750, plus 525. They don't. Yeah, awful. Not betting $1 on it. All right, the early prelims move on with a bust Magomedov facing Bruno Ferreira. The Hulk here. This is a fight. Who the hell knows fight. Absolutely no clue. I think whoever wins this fight probably is going to look minus 750. Because I hope this doesn't go long, because if this goes long, the longer this goes, the worse it goes. I don't want to see a third round of Bruno Ferreira and Abus Magomedov personally. Been seeing a lot of replays of the Luis Taylor knockout this week. It's hard to ever forgive or forget that type of knockout that he had in PFL. And what up, Noah? I don't like how small Bruno is. I don't like how puffy he's looking coming into this week. I don't like that this is in Abus's unofficial backyard. I'm taking Abus Magomedov. I think this is set up to kind of give him a return back to the top 15 and kind of be like, maybe he's not this bust everybody said he was. So I got Abus here. And I will take him by first round KO because, I just don't want to see a second round. Lucky.
Yeah, it feels like everybody hates Abus, man. Last fight, everybody wanted to bet Warley Alves against him.
Mm-hmm.
I parlayed Abus there, and I'll tell you what, wasn't sweating.
Nope.
My feet up on the desk, hands behind the head, without a care in the world. I'll tell you who was sweating, though. People who bet Bruno Ferreira against Dustin Stoltzfus. Now, they weren't sweating that hard because it was a round one knockout for Ferreira. But listen, man, Stoltzfus was cooking early in that fight. He got the fight down, got some good positions. You know who he wasn't doing that against? Abus Magomedov. But yeah, to be completely honest, I'm trolling the Ferreira side a little bit, but I do think it's kind of a close fight. And the reason I think that is because Ferreira obviously has the power to shut off the lights. And, we've seen Abus can crumble when he has to be the nail. So I get why someone would be interested in Ferreira here. But for me, I got to go with Abus. I feel like he kind of has all the grappling upside. And, he also hits really, really hard as well. He can't really take it that well, but he hits pretty hard. He's the physically bigger guy by quite a bit. And, Ferreira's pretty stocky, pretty compact, but Abus is going to have a pretty decent advantage in height and reach, especially. So, yeah, I mean, short favorite, I think, makes sense for Abus. I kind of talked the side up a little bit, but I'm really not interested in backing him, to be honest. I think it's kind of volatile. I'd probably want to see more like a pick 'em number to be involved, but I'm going to pick Abus Magomedov to win.
Yeah, I mean, Abus is going to be in the Zhongli, so don't worry. We don't worry about proper pricing in the Zhongli. We just need it to be right. 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much copy and paste what Lucky said. I'm going to pick Abus. If he's in the Zhongli, then that's perfect. That will be my only action on him, and that's fine. Yeah, I mean, the Hulk could clip him, knock him out. But yeah, well, like you said, the better grappling, and yeah, he hits pretty hard himself, and the Hulk got knocked out not too long ago. So yeah, Abus.
Yep, Abus it is. Yeah, we will move on here. I think that for a while, like, you're just going to get kind of generous prices on Abus because there's a lot of history where you can point to here or there, the Luis Taylor, other fights where it's like, oh, but again, losing to Rahalo and Strickland in the UFC is not losing a round to Dustin Solfus. Like that ain't good.
Right, or just getting one punch by Nursultan. Like, that's not the bet. He's good. He hits hard, but Abu's hits hard too.
Yeah, and RoboCop would absolutely realm Bruno Ferreira in a rematch. Anyways, I'm not bitter as a RoboCop fan at all. All right, next fight up, another one of my faves, Majdabek Orlabe, taking on Matuis Razbeki. I hate this line. Minus 310 on Orlabi here. I just feel like Rebecki has been very, very kind of discounted. It's been discounted kind of throughout his run here in the UFC. Even when he's winning, it's not kind of winning in the right way for a lot of the fans, it seems like. Then he ran on gas against Diego Ferreira, lost in the third round of that last fight. I do like Orlabi in this spot, but with every Orlabi fight as he's taking that next step up in competition, I get more and more nervous kind of about his one-dimensionalness. And I do think it's enough to get by here with Razbeki, but again, I don't think he's as bad as a lot of people are saying. And a minus 300 tag really is pretty brutal here. So other than the Zhang Li, Orlabi's not involved in a lot for me, but I got Orlabi, and I got him actually getting the finish here. I got another third round finish by a sub. Go ahead, 2 cents. Or whoever. I don't even remember. My bad.
Whatever's clever.
Go ahead. 2 cents.
Yeah, I'm on Majdabek as well. The problem with Rombeski or whatever is he's kind of a shitty nail. Like he's got a good record. He only has a couple losses, but yeah, I'm pretty sure both of them by finish. And Majdabek, yeah, he's known as being a kind of a relentless grappler, but I think he's, got decent hands too. I can see him knocking Rombeski out if he gasses. I think Orlbai's got better cardio. I think he's the better overall fighter, and I will take the Central Asian grappling over the fucking Euro trash grappling of Rombeski. But yeah, I don't think he's a shitty fighter. I just think this is kind of a Majdabek spot here.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you, but the price has me nervous. Lucky.
Yeah, well, listen, I've been an Orlbai supporter for years, as you know, since he started fighting in North America. I think this is the toughest matchup he's had, and Rebetsky has really been chewed up and spit out by the betting public after his last fight, it seems like, and I'm super surprised by this line, to tell you the truth. Rebetsky has 4 UFC fights. His average closing line is minus 544. And, keeping that in mind, Orlbai fought Uros Medic last year, and it was a pick 'em. So, listen, both these guys are grapplers. Both these guys hit hard. I'm not seeing where Orlbai is supposed to be minus 300 better than Rebetsky, to be honest with you. And I really don't think it's outlandish to suggest that Rebetsky can get takedowns here. Brenner got Orlbai down 3 times. And then in his next fight, he went 0-5 against Alvarez, who's kind of known to literally never defend takedowns. So, Rebetsky's cardio, 100% a concern. I can see why people like Orlbai here. Orlbai also younger, bigger. I think there's a fair bit of hype tax here, to be honest with you. I think minus 300 is pretty off. I don't know if I really see him covering that line. Rebetsky's stock seems like it's really plummeted to like an all-time low. And, to use another financial analogy, I think it's well below its fair value at this point. So, we're talking about a guy that almost finished CDF in the first round. And I'm not going to say that's the only reason that his cardio is bad, but I think it was a contributing factor. But also, it would be foolish for me to say he doesn't have a cardio problem, because I think it's pretty obvious that he does. Yeah. But I don't know, man. At plus 250 to Orlbai, I think 75% for Orlbai is pretty off. So I'm actually going to pick Rebetsky to win this one.
All right. Very nice. Minus 310 Orlbai, plus 250 Rebetsky. Yeah. Good. Very interesting fight. If Orlbai covers his price, man, he is really, really good. It is not easy to look minus 300 against Matulis. So, all right, next fight. Yeah, this card, very, very interesting how they order it. Jeff Neal and Rafael Dos Dos Anjos in the middle of the prelims is pretty damn good, though. This is a very interesting fight for me. I've kind of been back and forth on this one. I don't love RDA at 170. I don't love that he keeps bouncing back and forth between the weight classes here. And overall, like, not completely sold at him at 170, but it kind of is what it is. One thing I really do like about him is that I do feel like, for the most part, he's, still got a lot of his chin, still a lot of his toughness, but he's been put away 3 times. And I'm a little bit, kind of nervous that when the time, Father Time's really starting to catch up with RDA and these miles, start to show up in each fight. But with Jeff Neal, he's coming off of 2 straight losses. The split decision was, a decent fight with Gary, but his last couple wins haven't been against, the Luque fight is what it is, but we've kind of seen what Luque has become from that and everything. And just, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm going to take Jeff Neal to win a decision here. I just think he ends up landing the more impactful shots over the 3 rounds. I don't see a finish on either side, though. And if RDA stole this, which, kind of the veteran guile style, kind of like similar to Magny, some other fighters where Neal's been frustrated when he's not able to get the finish. Wouldn't surprise me, but I got to go Neal by a decision. But, not a fight I'm super confident in. Lucky.
Yeah, listen, RDA is a legend, but 40-year-old RDA at 170 versus Jeff Neal, I don't know. And people are going to say he's only 39. I'm pretty sure he turns 40 literally on the day of the fight. So
perfect. Happy birthday.
He'll be 40 in the cage, I believe. Yeah. And Neal's 6 years younger. He's taller. He's longer. He's bigger. I think he hits harder. And, the guy's been doing the UFC some favors lately, and it might be time to collect that payment. He went out and fought Rachmanov when no one else would. He went out and took the Ian Gary fight. He's defending his ranking against highly touted prospects that the UFC are trying to move up the ladder. He's been the guy to welcome them to the rankings. So I think the UFC are giving him a big matchup. It's, in my opinion, a very winnable fight on a really big card against a huge name in RDA. And I think they're saying, here you go. The rest is up to you. So, Neal's got pretty solid takedown defense. I think he'll be a little bit physically stronger as well. And on the feet, I think he's got the stuff to succeed here. So, listen, maybe RDA shows up and gets a statement win for his birthday, but I'm going to pick Jeff Neal to win this fight.
Yeah, that pretty much makes complete sense from a narrative perspective, too, as to why they set him up here with this type of fight. I think that makes a lot of sense. 2 cents.
Yeah, I can't bet Jeff Neal because RDA is like an infinitely better grappler than him if it does get to the ground. But I also think Jeff Neal puts him in a fucking body bag. I think at some point Neal clips him and knocks him out. RDA's like, he's always been a little low-key, little bit chinny. Even back in the day, he was getting dropped and shit. So, yeah, I think Neal sparks him.
Yep. Yeah, I can't really disagree there. I don't think there's much else to say with this one. And, yeah, the more and more I think about it, the more I want to put Jeff Neal into the Zhang. But we shall see. I'm currently deciding between Jeff Neal and Orlabi for a Zhang Li spot, which seems very strange to say. But that's where we're at. All right, 205 next. Very weird fight that's all of a sudden moved up the card. It was supposed to be the opener, and now it's moving its way up the card. Thank you, Nora. Good to be back. Ivo Aslan taking on the newcomer Brazilian coming down from heavyweight Rafael Cerqueira, the Lion, second Brazilian Lion on the card here. We'll see. Maybe it's a Lion sweep. This is going to be sloppy. I feel like, with Rafael, I've watched from the little tape I've watched from him. I feel like he's the more well-rounded guy here. I could see him kind of trying to do what most people try to do against Evo and work some takedowns. And on the feet, he seems to, be kind of quick and bouncy on his feet, has some nice kicks, switch stances, but he also might just look bouncy because he's facing a bunch of big, fat Brazilian heavyweights or like middle, like in between light heavyweight and heavyweights. He's fighting in like wedding halls as well. He's fought 7 times for Demo. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Demo MMA guy myself, and I don't like when fighters fight for one organization and fight a bunch of 1 and 3 and, you know, cans, I think is what they call it in the biz. I also saw him kind of, you know, like wall up at some points, which I could see him doing against Ebo, and Ebo just kind of hitting through the guard and knocking him out that way with some just heavy hooks. Like, I guess I'll take Ebo here. I think he's going to be more comfortable here in Abu Dhabi. I think he's the harder hitter, and yeah, I'll take the poison I know in Ebo to get the knockout. But I mean, I don't know how people are so confident in this fight. 2 cents.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I'll pick that same poison. And yeah, I don't know. I was said yesterday I was kind of gonna go contrarian and be like, oh, you know, Ebo by like the first robbery of the night, like he's looking like Rocky, like face all fucked up, like in the in the Turkali fight and the Contender Series fight, but he just like gets the win, and everyone cheers, and everyone that bet this fucking other dude that's everyone seems to be on is gonna be pissed. But yeah, man, I kind of think Ibo, more I'm thinking about it, might knock him out. Kind of like you said, like he puts the guard up and it's just like a standing TKO against the fence or something. But yeah, I think Aslan's the side.
Yeah, this guy, yeah, I don't know. I'm not, we'll see. Lucky.
Yeah, listen, I've bet Ibo Aslan against a Brazilian before. Made money on him on his Contender Series fight against Paulo Renato Jr., somebody like that. A can.
Yes.
I'm not going to do it this time. I don't think Topuria is a can per se. I don't know how many rungs above that he may be. But I mean, listen, Aslan, younger, UFC experience under his belt. I don't think he's an easy fight by any means, but you know, I'm not massively high on the guy. He's got some flaws. Sakira definitely does too. We haven't really gotten to see maybe a ton of them because he hasn't really fought really great competition. And definitely Aslan seems like, you know, the big time A side in this matchup from a marketing perspective for sure. But, you know, he's not really a good grappler. I think Sakira will be better in that area, in my opinion. You know, he's a black belt. Jailton Almeida was campaigning to get this guy in the UFC. And I think he has a style to, you know, potentially exploit some of Aslan's weaknesses here. So, you know, I'll pick him, but I definitely need to see what he looks like at this level before I start putting actual money on him. So, you know, there's arguments to be made for both sides for sure, but I'm going to go with the Brazilian in this fight.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Weird fight. I considered at some point putting Ebo in the Zhang Li. Maybe I will, but as of now, he is out of there. But I will take him by KO. All right. And that's the featured prelim. And the first fight on the main card that you are paying $80 for or something. We got Shara Magomedov, Armen Petrosian, Superman versus Bullet. I don't like Shara Magomedov at all. I'm waiting to find that fighter to fade him against. In first 3 fights, I've taken Shara just out of default almost. I like Armen Petrosian in this spot. I think that he's definitely in kind of a matchup where he's going to be comfortable, be able to keep it on the feet. I think that he's just a little sharper and quicker. I feel like Shara is going to make this more of a dirty, you know, like more of a dog fight, but I'm not as sold on Shara as everybody else seems to be. And I feel like Armen has gotten lucky in some circumstances, like the RoboCop fight, and then unlucky in some other circumstances. He's kind of had a weird career where he's definitely faced a better level of competition. I think he's the more sharper technical striker. And yeah, I think this is probably going to be 15 minutes on the feet and probably one of the fights I would consider a split decision candidate, but give me the dog and Armen Petrosian. Mostly out of spite, though. Let's go to Lucky.
Yeah, we got death taxes and people not liking Shara Magomedov, man. Nobody likes this guy, it seems like.
Somebody likes there.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching this guy fight, to be honest. I think he has fun fights most of the time. And you know, he does have a lot of hype, and you know, people get really indignant about it because, you know, they feel like it is a bit undeserved, I suppose. And I guess that's not totally not totally an unwarranted point of view to have. But yeah, I mean, no secret. I like watching this guy fight. You know, he shows up to put on a fun kickboxing fight every time. Um, you know, do I think the guy's going to be a world champion? No, I don't. But you know, he doesn't have the world champion in front of him here. He's got an 8-3 Armin Petrosian, and you know, I don't really think Petrosian's on the main card of this pay per view in Abu Dhabi because I think he's the next big thing. I faded Petrosian in his last fight against Vieira, made my money there. I'm not fading him this time. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to bet on this fight. I do think Armin can present some legitimate problems, which, you know, before I looked into it, I didn't really think I would find that. But looking into it, I feel like there is, you know, a decent argument to be made for him. You know, he's a big guy. He puts on pressure. And it feels like Shara sometimes is comfortable kind of just to zip around on the back foot. And, you know, could Armin maybe even get takedowns? Like, honestly, maybe. Shara's more of kind of a pretty kickboxer where it feels like Petrosian, I think, is a little bit more, you know, come forward, malicious intent in his game. And I kind of would have expected to see Charlotte like minus 200 here, just kind of off the name value alone. And the fact that he's down at minus 150, I think tells you that, you know, Petrosian's taking some respected money a little bit. So, you know, I kind of get it. So I'm staying away. I'm going to pick Shara Magomedov to win here. I feel like, you know, if you do think it's going to a decision, um, he might get that rub there, but yeah, I think it's kind of a matchup that I didn't expect to be kind of lukewarm on his side. But after looking into it, I am a little bit. So I'm staying away, but I'm gonna pick Magomedov.
All right, 2 cents. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think it's really funny because I like both of these fighters, and like what Lucky was kind of saying about Shara and people not liking him, that is exactly how people felt about Armin Petrosian, and now everyone is all over his fucking dick this week. It's so funny to me, man. Shara is going to tune him the fuck up. He's statistically more accurate. He's faster. He actually started out as a boxer, and he has better hands than Armin Petrosian, who has fucking T-Rex arms. Yeah, I love Armin Petrosian, but he did lose that RoboCop fight. I tried to like act like that wasn't the case for a while, but he lost it, man. I went back and watched it. Dude, he's going to lose this fight too. He is not going to win a decision against Shara in fucking Abu Dhabi. Shara is the hometown fighter there. I think he's the better strike. Dude, if it's a striking matchup, I'm taking Shara any day of the week. He's tough. He's going to light him up. He throws more. He gets hit less. He's more accurate. I think there's a chance he can knock him out, but I'll take Shara by decision. And I did parlay him, so yeah, super biased.
Nope, no problem at all. And I like that you're playing your flag. Minus 160 plus 135.
Yeah, I kind of have. He's anchoring my parlay, so I kind of have to.
Yeah, very interesting fight to start out on main card. That's for sure. Next fight, very good fight here. I think it's going to be a very close fight. Yeah, another fight on the main card where I think that the split is live. I feel like the first few fights on the main card, if you just play ends with split, you might be making some money because I think this is going to be a very close fight with Lerone Murphy and Dan Ige. Dan Ige coming off of fighting on no notice against Lopez. We'll see how he responds from that. I don't think, you know, like with Dan Ige, like I think that he can fight very close in this fight. I think he can win the moments and the minutes, enough of the minutes in 2 of the 3 of these rounds to steal a decision. With Lerone Murphy, he does fight to his level of competition often. And as a result, he has a lot of closer fights than they should be, I feel like. One thing I like about Lerone is he's fought over in Abu Dhabi, I believe, 3 or 4 times now. So he's very, very comfortable fighting over there. I think that's pretty significant. I'm taking Lerone Murphy by split here, but, you know, maybe, you know, kind of just wins a wire-to-wire decision. We see Gustafsson syndrome out of Ige where he has his best performance in a really close loss in a tough situation. So Ige, like, beats, like, the Andre Fili's of the world. He doesn't, you know, he got that split with Edson Barboza back in the day, but, like, I don't know, man. I just feel like Lerone Murphy kind of, you know, has a good enough game plan, feints his way to a split decision here in Abu Dhabi and changes his stock none at all. It's never good when you go backwards in rounds too. You go from a 5-round fight in your last fight to a 3-round second fight on the main card. Like, I don't think the UFC is super sold on him, but yeah, I'll take Lerone to win a split here. 2 cents.
Boys, are you ready? Because the Ige whisperer is about to fucking speak. Nah, don't listen to this. I bet Ige just because I feel like it's gonna be a close fight. I do think it's gonna be a split. I think it's gonna be close, dude. I think Ige hits fucking hard. And dude, I will take getting that like sketchy split over Barbosa over getting that fucking robbery over Gabriel Santos. Um, Nah, man. I don't know, dude. Like Murphy's good. I'm not gonna shit on the guy, but like Ige's good too. He's actually a little bit younger, fought like a little higher level of competition slightly. Yes, to your point, like his wins aren't like super duper great in comparison, but yeah, I think it's gonna be close. Give me Ige. I think it was like the line was like plus 220.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. And Lucky.
Yeah, Lerone Murphy is a fighter that I like, and I made good money on him in his last fight against Edson Barboza. He's undefeated, but we got Ige, who's a veteran. He's got 17 UFC fights under his belt, more than Lerone Murphy's entire pro career. So Ige stepped up on a moment's notice, literally, to fight Lopez in his last fight. And, these guys are the same age, which is kind of surprising because, you think, or at least I think of Murphy as like a surging young prospect. And, the surging part is correct, but, he's 33 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like similar-ish styles. I think Murphy kind of just does it a little bit better. As far as the stats are concerned, he's a higher volume fighter. He's more accurate. He gets hit less and defends strikes at a higher clip. It's kind of been a while since Ige's beaten anybody that really turns your head. It's been a couple years since he's gotten a win where you're like, oh yeah, that's a real serious win. He's been kind of beating the guys that you're like, yeah, he's gonna knock out Damon Jackson or whoever these other guys that he was. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it was nobody really exciting
like
for a little while.
The Feelies of the world.
Yeah, Andre Feely is his last win, I think. So yeah, I mean, Murphy just looks better to me these days, to be honest. The price, though, really doesn't excite me at all. Like, I really wouldn't be shocked to see this one be a really close one. So I'm going to pick Lerone Murphy. I really couldn't be less interested in the price, though, to tell you the truth. So Lerone Murphy for me, no action.
Yeah, no, I was definitely expected to be a much closer line after Ige's last fight, but yeah, minus 285 is obviously disgusting. And yeah, we will move on from there. Next fight, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. Like I said before, if you bet the split decision, maybe bet all the fights on this, main card to end in split decision. Because I think this is a fight here with Ankalaev and Rakic where I could really see Rakic making this a really close, squirrely, just spamming the leg kicks, moving, staying on his bike, and making this a closer fight with Magomed Ankalaev than it should be. I think that Ankalaev is a much more dangerous fighter here. I think that he does end up knocking out Rakic, but this price is almost minus 400 on Magomed Ankalaev, and I just can't really trust that. So I get anybody taking the shot on the dog and Rakic here for sure, and I could definitely see him, using the leg kicks, which Ankalaev has had trouble with in some of his other fights, and stretching out that split decision. But yeah, I mean, I'll take Ankalaev to get a ground and pound finish here. Let's go to 2 cents.
Boys, Ankalaev is my favorite light heavyweight. I want to parlay the shit out of him. I want to bet the shit out of him. But do what you said about Rakic being squirrely, like he throws really nasty leg kicks. Ankalaev has been susceptible to them in the past. So yeah, I think Magomed wins. To your point about him being more dangerous, I think that's true. I think he hits harder on the feet. And I think he's the better grappler too. And again, I will take the Dagestani Central Asian grappling over the Euro trash of Rakic. But I'm just joking because Rakic is a good grappler. But nah, dude, give me fucking Ankalaev by 3rd round GMP TKO.
I like it. All right, Lucky.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a bad spot for Rakic, to be honest with you. He's lost 2 in a row. He got knocked out by Prohashka 6 months ago. Fight before that, he broke his leg. I mean, it's been almost 4, closer to 4 than 3 years since he's last gotten his hand raised in the octagon. And I think Ankalaev's pretty hungry right now. He feels like he's been slighted by the UFC. I think he kind of feels like they're holding the title fight hostage from him. And I think there's a pretty good argument to say that he won against Jan Blachowicz when the fight was scored a draw. So we're in Abu Dhabi here. To be honest, I think if they booked Ankalaev in a title fight versus Pereira right now, you would probably be the betting favorite. Think what you will about what would actually happen. I think if they made the fight and the line dropped, Ankalaev probably would be the favorite there. So yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I do not like this coming back soon after getting knocked out. That's usually something that I kind of takes me out of the mood right away when I see that, right? So I like Ankalaev to probably, solidify his bid to be the #1 contender on Saturday. That would be really funny, though, if what Noah said happened. He wins by split, and then Alberg fights Pereira next.
That would make
that would be peak Dana White.
Dude, that's what I said yesterday. I was like Ankalaev by split, but nah, I'm like hoping to like manifest the finish now.
Yeah, no, really good point on how long it's been since Rakic won a fight. It's been a while. 32 for both these guys. Minus 375 as of recording here, so that's nice and gross. Plus 295 to Rakic. I mean, I get if you're taking a shot on the dog, but again, I feel like the first 4 fights on the main card are all high split candidates because I think that Whitaker and Chimaev, man, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know how I see this fight going. I don't really know what to expect out of Chimaev at this point. I get it. He hasn't looked super impressive in his last few, but like still getting the job done. And, Robert Whitaker was, I thought he was dead after the Duplessis fight and then came back and beat a corpse in Paulo Costa. And then Alaskarov was definitely supposed to knock him out, but then Alaskarov got knocked out in like a minute. So, and we said, Chimaev is also knocked out Alaskarov, so that's cool. They had that in common. I'm super, interested in getting Chimaev at minus 250. That just seems like I didn't think that was going to happen again, but he's had a lot of injuries. He's had a lot of illnesses, and it's just I don't really know what version of him we're getting at this point. And he kind of does the same thing in every fight. And I feel like people are kind of catching on to it more and more. And someone like Bobby Knuckles, I feel like could really pose some problems for Chimaev. So, I kind of want to join everybody else on Bobby Knuckles here this week, but I'm going to go with Chimaev still. And I'm going to take him to get like a ground and pound flatten him out finish somewhere in probably the second round. But I'm happy for I'm glad everybody loves Robert Whitaker again. That's wonderful because I feel like he was dead for a minute there. But now everybody hates Chimaev, I guess. So Chimaev is bad, and I'll take him at minus 250. But I don't have him involved in anything as of yet. But Chimaev 2.0 or Chimaev TKO. I saw Boris 2.0 here in the chat. Chimaev by TKO though. 2 cents.
Dude, this is one of the tougher fights for me to pick. So I'm on a public dog in Ige. I can't quite get to the other one in Knuckles. Just because, I think Chimaev, some of his like issues and stuff, the weight misses and the health stuff, I think that's kind of why the line seems, I don't know, maybe it's that and the competition he's facing right now, but in Whitaker. But yeah, give me Chimaev, man. I think I was watching that Usman fight back, and like originally I think I had a bet on Usman and was just watching it through like my biased goggles or whatever, because Chimaev, dude, he could have had Usman up out of there. And Usman's pretty fucking tough to take down, dude. Whitaker, he's got good takedown defense, but he's been taken down multiple times in fights. And I think Chimaev is a good enough grappler to get him down multiple times. be able to win rounds like that. And Whitaker just doesn't have a great chin, and Chimaev hits really fucking hard. But I don't know, man. I can't really bet Chimaev either, just because dude, I ain't never liked Ratlip. I used to not like Robert Whitaker. He's grown on me recently, but that kind of is like, I don't want to just like get sucked into that, like this new, like, attaboy shit for Whitaker. So yeah, give me Chimaev here. I don't know if he gets the finish or not, but I think he wins regardless.
Old man Bobby, 33 years old now, so time to hang up the career. Lucky.
Well, 2 cents will be getting a trophy in the mail for being the first person I've ever heard say I didn't like Robert Wood. I'm not like a huge Whitaker fan or anything. I just have not heard that, I don't think, before. That's funny. Yeah, exciting matchup here. I won bets on both of these guys in their last fights. Whitaker against Askar, which occurred in lieu of this matchup after Chimaev pulled out. I bet on Whitaker there. Chimaev, I had in a parlay against Usman. I mean, not my most proudest admission right there, but look, that's what I had. It won.
Yeah, it's so
scraped over the finish line. Scraped over the finish line at a snail's pace. But yeah, this fight is priced roughly the same as it was when it was originally scheduled. And there seems to be a ton of enthusiasm around Robert Whitaker this week. I'm seeing Whitaker everywhere. Every single person saying Whitaker. And I mean, I understand it to a certain extent. I think there's some pretty valid argumentation on the side of Whitaker. Like, 5 rounds, we've seen Chimaev slow down time after time, and I'm not sure if you can really make excuses for that at this point. Also, he had an illness which forced him out of this matchup originally, so who knows what the effect of that's going to be. I mean, you'd have to assume at the very best it's going to be a neutral effect, and at the worst a negative effect. So Also about Chimaev, I don't think his striking defense is really, an area where he particularly excels, especially, if he slows down as it goes later. I could see him kind of getting tagged up a bit. But, in spite of the aforementioned lines of reasoning, I'm going to be on the Chimaev side here. I've heard people say that he's finish reliant. Yeah, maybe he is. I think there's a decent argument that he is. But Chimaev in the first round is something serious, man. And cover your ears for a second, 2 cents. This ain't Michelle Pereira from last week that people were saying was going to do this and that in round 1. This is not that, man. Chimaev, physical freak. I mean, he's got insane strength. What he does to these guys, in the early goings of this fight, nobody else does that. Nobody 10-8s Kamaru Usman like that in the first round. Kind of a weak 10-8 maybe, but I think the point still stands. And, yeah, Whitaker can wrestle, but not like this. And if you look at the Whitaker versus DDP fight, du Plessis bullied him with the physicality. I think Chimaev can do that too. DDP got him down in the first round. I think Chimaev definitely gets him down in round 1. And I think he's going to have a more effective top game than du Plessis was able to implement. I think he can, batter him on top. And, du Plessis knocked Whitaker out with a jab. And do I think Chimaev hits as hard as du Plessis? I don't think I'd go that far to say that. But, the guy hits pretty damn hard. And Whitaker's lost by knockout more than any other method in the UFC. So, yeah, I mean, I guess to sum it up, I like the physicality and skill set of Chimaev to be successful in this matchup. And, looking at things from a narrative perspective as well, there's a lot of support for Chimaev in that aspect. The fight's in Abu Dhabi. It's a country that Chimaev now resides in and represents. Whitaker has to fly out to the Middle East once again. I mean, it's always a long trip when you live in Australia, except, the once or twice a year they go there. But yeah, I mean, I think we can also all agree the UFC would love to have Chimaev win this fight and get in the middleweight title picture. He's the biggest star on the card in terms of followers by a lot, man. He's got almost double what Holloway and Topuria have. Younger guy, bigger guy, he's fighting at home. I think this sets up some big fights. Whitaker's already been knocked out by the champ. And yeah, Chimaev's the side that I like here. I have no bets yet, but I'm going to be looking to be involved. Maybe, knockout, maybe round 1 or 2 or something like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, minus 245 right now. Very, very interesting fight for sure. Great co-main event. Leading into a fantastic main event and just overall a fantastic return to the breakdown show. Haven't missed a beat. Really glad to be back with you fellas. And shout out to the 15 in the chat. I appreciate everybody and their support. Everybody who's come back for this first show, especially. I know it's hard when your kind of shows come off for a week or two, but really appreciate everybody coming back. So shout out to Raw Torque, Bo Jackson, Noah, Jimmy, Alex, everybody, Justin in the chat. Appreciate everybody. And Lucky and 2 cents for joining me on card I'm, as usual, more excited after talking with you guys about, and have some good clarity. All right, main event time: Illia Topuria versus Max Holloway. The more and more I think about this fight, the more excited I am to see it. I think this is such a really high quality featherweight fight here. I think these are the two best right now. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how Topuria kind of responds with how, Topuria overall responds to the kind of puzzle that is, Max Holloway. I feel like it's definitely a very different fight, from the Volk fight. I feel like this fight could go many different ways. It could come out and Topuria just comes out and, wrecks shop here and gets that KO that everybody seems to be on. I have a harder time believing that personally. I think that Max really could start to frustrate Illia Topuria as this fight goes if he can get into a spot where Topuria isn't using his wrestling. I think Topuria would be really smart to use his wrestling in this fight, which he hasn't shown to use a lot in his, UFC fights so far. And I do think if he kind of just stands there and tries to get into a boxing match with Max, I think Max is a better boxer. He's a slicker boxer. And I think he kind of can be almost a matador to Topuria. And it being 5 rounds, I think is, while Topuria's looked good in 5 rounds at times, it was, against, an older, slower Josh Emmett, where it was like he's slowing down. He mostly got to just kind of be a hammer as the fight went. While with, I just have trouble seeing that as much with Max. I think it's going to be a really close fight. I think any fight on the main card could certainly go to split, including this fight here. I think this could be a 5-round classic. I really do. But one of these guys has a plus 190 in front of their name. And I'm taking Max Holloway, man. I'm going to, give the shot here. I don't think he's done and ready to be dusted like a lot of people seem to think. And I think he wins a 5-round competitive decision here, where he's the matador to the bull. That is El Matador in Illia Topuria. So give me Max Holloway. And Max is also capping off the first Zhang Li back. 2 cents.
Let's fucking ride, brother.
That's right.
Yeah, dude. I'm a Holloway stan boy, so take this with a big old salty boy grain of salt. Nah, man, I think the champ is rightfully favored. I think it is going to be a close fight. Stylistically, you can make cases for both guys. I'm not going to get into like an X's and O's breakdown, but I think it'll be close. And yeah, I think styles make fights, and it has a chance to complete another like MMA equilateral triangle where like one guy has a win over the other one, and just it goes that way for all of them. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I get why Topuria's favor is a little bit younger, a little bit fresher in the game, less mileage on the tank for sure. So I get it. But yeah, I'll take Max to win a awesome, like a split in an awesome fight and get his belt back.
All right. Yeah. No, I think this is going to be a great fight. I'm super excited for Lucky to tell us why we're wrong. Go ahead, Lucky.
Yeah, this is an amazing fight. I think this is a really, really, really good main event. Brilliant matchup. One of my most anticipated fights in a while. And I'm coming off cashing a dog ticket on both of these guys in their last fights. I bet Topuria is a dog against Volk. I bet Holloway is a dog against Gaethje. And yeah, Topuria is 27. He's undefeated. He's as legit as it gets, and Holloway being 32 is pretty sneaky because he's been in the UFC forever. And I think, at least for me anyway, that's what makes this fight so intriguing because, Holloway's not like 35. He's not washed like we saw at UFC 300. It feels like both of these guys are in a good place. And, there's not much I can really illuminate for the audience about the background of either guy that they don't already know. These are two huge names that we've all watched plenty of times. Holloway, a little bit higher volume, but Illia is a decently high output striker as well. But, there's high output and then there's Max Holloway output, right? So defensively, I think both for the most part are pretty mindful, but I would say that Topuria is a little more defensively sound because we have seen Holloway rely on that chin a few times over the course of his career, and it's never let him down yet. Obviously, there was kind of the Gaethje knockdown controversy where UFC did not count it, but Holloway came out himself and said it was. So officially on the books, though he's never been knocked down. But there's a first for everything. I don't really expect it to be the case on Saturday where, Topuria puts him out cold or something. But, it could be. I do expect that Topuria can create, a couple big moments over the course of this fight on the feet. He's got really big power. And we saw, like I said, the Gaethje thing where Holloway got, quote unquote knocked down. Um, but yeah, I think Topuria is the better grappler, and I think he's the option to pursue that route and I guess see how successful he can be in that area. I don't really love the -2XX on Topuria, but I do got to lean his direction here. He's younger, he's surging, and never picked against him before. Not going to start now. Both of these guys, I made my money on them in their last fight. So for this one, I'm just going to relax and enjoy what, like I said, is one of my most anticipated fights in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, if Topuria comes out and subs him, fair game to Topuria, I would think that would be the smartest route to go for this fight. But I think he's going to be a big tough guy and stand and try. But it's
yeah, dude, he can win by any method. Topuria can win by all three methods. I think that's why he's rightfully favored, and he checks like so many fucking boxes. But like, I think there is a chance that he could be like, oh well, look what I just did to Volk. Like he could be feeling a little super powered, and it is a little bit of a different stylistic matchup. Like, yeah, people are gonna look at the Volk fights and be like, oh, dude, well Volk, in that third Max fight, he really figured him out and beat his ass. It's like, yeah, but like Volk's never had a better chin than Max. Like Volk, the fact that he got starched by Topuria, like, yeah, Topuria hits hard, and Volk, like. He's been knocked out before. Like, he's been knocked out before that, even before the Islam fight. So, yeah, like, I don't know, man. I think Max is really fucking tough, and I think it's going to be a damn good fight and a close one.
Yeah, I also could see a fight, a round where, like, by the third round, Illia's realized just take this guy down and, control him. And then Max is starting to kind of, like, slap his, like, head from, like, his back and kind of, like, hold his head and be like, oh, come on, brother. We're supposed to fight here. Like, Illia's been really laying on in the, pre-fight interview. He's gonna be the most exciting fight ever, and like he's just not gonna do anything but nonstop violence. And we could see him just kind of flip the script and go the other way here and just fight, the smart fight. But we're not going with that. We're riding until the wheels come off. And the first Zhongli back will have Max Holloway plus 190 ticket to anchor it. So. Yeah, before we take off, shout out to chat once again. Shout out to Noah, Bo Jackson. 2 cents is in the chat here. Shout out to him.
Oh shit, dude, I am.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Big show. Well, all right. I'm gonna give the John Lee. Then we're gonna go around any parting words or plays we have. Starting out the Zhang Li will be Abus Magomedov, followed by Orlabe, followed by Jeff Neal and Lerone Murphy. So not very exciting, but we end it with the Max Holloway plus 190 to get us to a plus 1,100 Zhang Li parlay here to return to the show. So again, that was Magomedov, Orlabe, Neal, Murphy, and Holloway for an plus 1,100. A boost bet the house, according to Bo. Shout out to Justin. Good to have you back as well. Lucky, thank you as always for making the time. Nice, tidy 1 hour pay-per-view show. Do you have any plays or anything you want to mention going into the weekend here?
Usually I got something here, but I actually don't have any bets yet. I mean, like I said, I'm interested in the Chimaev side. I don't know how I'll be involved in that. I'm expecting to be involved in some capacity. I like the KO, maybe like a round 1-2 stack, something like that. We'll see. Also, I do like the over in the opening fight with Renat and Carlos Leal. Maybe I'll slap that together with something. I still got to kind of have a look, but those were kind of the two spots that I liked. I mean, the Renat over kind of got steamed quick. It went from minus 150 to whatever it is now quickly. So
almost minus 250.
Oh, great. So the chances of that are dwindling, but yeah. So that's all I got today. Thanks for having me on as always. Glad to be back. Thanks 2 cents for jumping on with us as well as always. And I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, man. Great to have you as well as always. 2 cents. Any parting words? Thank you as always for the time, my friend.
Oh, dude, thank you, man. And yeah, lucky shout out to you as well, my dude, and everyone in the chat. Make sure y'all smash the like button for Aaron if you haven't already. And yeah, man, damn glad to be back in the swing of things. And should be a pretty good pay per view. I have a few bets. I bet Ige plus 220, Holloway plus 200. I got actually. So God, I hope that's not a fucking going to be an actual like a closing like line value for me that could spell doom. But then I did Basharat, Oral By, and Shara for plus 150, and then I will be tailing the John Lee faithfully, man. And I'm fucking so thrilled that it's back in action. And thanks again for having me, dude. Best luck, everybody.
Yep. And that's gonna do it, everybody. First show back, and we're not going anywhere. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to Lucky. Shout out to 2 Cents. And we will see you next week with whatever the hell the card is. Peace out, everybody.